We're just one day away from the biggest game of the season. Are you ready?
You are Locked On Irish, your daily podcast on the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up and welcome to Locked On Irish, your daily Notre Dame podcast. Today is Friday, September 22nd, so happy Friday and happy almost game day because we are just one day away from the biggest Saturday of the season so far. Thanks as always for making this your first listen of the day, and I'm your host, Tyler Wojciak. I'm a Notre Dame alum and producer covering college football for Fox Sports. And this episode of Locked On Irish is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. That's why LinkedIn Jobs helps find the right people for your team faster and for free. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Terms and conditions apply. We got another mailbag in store for you today, and this time I've got Luke Smith to help answer your questions, and we got a ton of them for this episode. So thanks to everyone who sent yours in. We tried to get to them all, but unfortunately we were on a bit of a time crunch, and if you're watching on YouTube, you can see that I'm not in my home studio. I got into South Bend last night, so I'm doing this out of my hotel room, and I'll be honest, it's not necessarily an ideal location for podcasting, but we're going to make it work. All right, now let's bring in Luke. All right, Luke Smith is back with me here, and we're going to do some mailbag questions, but first, I got to ask you, we're one day away from the big game. How are you feeling? Give me your thoughts.
I feel great. Just got to get through a one last half day of work, and then I can make my way to South Bend, but I'm uncomfortably comfortable right now. I'll put it that way.
Do you think it's going to stay that way tomorrow?
I do, actually. I do. I just have a lot of confidence in this group, and hey, I've never been hurt before, so why not?
And exactly. And if we do get hurt again, just add it to the list. All right, our first question comes from @ND Today. Will we see Benjamin Morrison shadow Marvin Harrison Jr., or would Cam Hart be a better matchup seeing how he's stronger / taller? What do you think?
I think it obviously depends on the side of the field that Harrison Jr. is lined up on. I feel like more often than not, we're going to see Benjamin Morrison on him. As good as both of those guys are, both of those guys being, Morrison and Cam Hart, playing against Marvin Harrison Jr. at college it's just a disadvantage for any defensive back. So there's gonna need to be help, whether that's from the safeties, and really what this is going to come down to is that Notre Dame's going to have to get pressure so that we're not left on an island with these guys. But I would anticipate seeing Benjamin Morrison lined up more times than not.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect Al Golden to really change anything up. I still think that they're going to play to the same side of the field as they normally would. And to your point, there's just going to be some plays in this game where the coverage might be great and they're just going to lose the rep. Just that simple. When you're going up against Marvin Harrison Jr., there's no way you can completely shut him down. You can try and contain him. I think it's less of a question about what the corners are going to do and more of a question of what does Notre Dame do with their safeties? How do they sort of bracket him in coverage? And a guy like Thomas Harper, what's he going to do? Because Ohio State could move Marvin Harrison Jr. into the slot. That could pose some problems, especially when they already have some other elite receivers in that room. So I wouldn't expect anything drastic from Al Golden, but I do think he's going to dial up a lot of pressures because last year, what killed Notre Dame in a lot of situations, critical situations, was CJ Stroud could move and he can make plays on his feet. I don't feel like Kyle McCord, like he can move around. He's not like Jack Cohn back there. No offense to Cohn, but he's not nearly as mobile as CJ Stroud. So if they can get pressure on him, then that totally changes the dynamic of the entire defense.
Right. And also what's critical is you can give up catches, but don't give up more. There can't be any yak. You just got to tackle as soon as they catch the ball. Otherwise, that's how you get burned.
All right, next question. This is actually two questions in one because they're essentially asking the same thing. So when I posted the tweet and the Instagram story asking for mailbag questions, I used the infamous picture of a Brady Quinn's sister in her split jersey, which I can't believe all these years later, like that's still so recognizable. Everyone still remembers that. I guess it was because I was so young and I didn't realize how big of a deal it was at the time. But anyway, let's get to the questions here. This one comes from @James McGray. Would you forgive your sister for wearing a half jersey like Quinn's sister did? I wouldn't. And Luke, since you didn't have a sister, we're going to go with another question that's from @AO Luke. If your mom did this, what would your reaction be?
Well, the sister thing, I think, is a little bit more understandable given that, she did end up marrying AJ Hawk. So there is that. She has children with this guy. Like, I think Brady Quinn was actually on a podcast earlier this week saying that it was a mistake that she did that and that she would never do that again. But that's besides the point. The mother thing would be a little bit less forgivable. Like, imagine that your mom is wearing a half jersey of your sister's boyfriend. I'd be like, what the hell? That would be kind of weird.
Yeah, it'd be one thing if they were married, and even then I'd be like, Mom, like, you literally gave birth to me. So
Yeah.
I was thinking about it. If my sister wore a half jersey, I'd probably feel some type of way regardless. But if it was her boyfriend, it would have to be, it would depend on basically who's the boyfriend in this case. If it's AJ Hawk, I feel like I'm not going to have a whole lot of ground to stand on to be like, hey, AJ, like, not cool. Another big factor in this would be how long have they been dating? Because if they've only been dating like 6 months, I'd be like, come on, dude, that's ridiculous. A year, 2 years. I don't really know what the cutoff is. Like, I don't know how long they would have to date for me to be cool with it, but it'd have to be a long time. I don't know. That's just how I feel.
I think those are fair parameters, and I don't know what that is, but yeah, wow, what a weird thing. I mean, the only instance I can think of anybody else doing that half jersey thing is the Kelsey's mom, and those are her two sons, so that's a little bit different. But yeah, you don't see that every day.
If you were playing your brother in the Fiesta Bowl, would your mom go split jersey and you guys were on opposing teams?
I feel like that's actually somewhat understandable. I just think regardless of like how you cut it, the split jersey never looks very good. So
yeah, I mean, she did a good job with the stitching, I will say. But do you think your mom would go stitch jersey, or would she pick a side? Would she just go either you or your brother?
I think you got to go split. You got to split it, whether it's a hat and a jersey or whatever from opposing schools. That would just be. I think that would have long-reaching effects if you went one way.
I think if it was my mom and it was me versus my sister and some bizarro world where we're playing each other in a sport, she would just wear my sister's jersey. It wouldn't be a split. She's actually in this room right now. She can probably hear me say that. And you know what? I bet she would agree. All right. Next one comes from @VoluntaryJoel41. If you were Marcus Freeman, who would you ask to give the pregame speech to the team? My vote, this is from Voluntary Joel, Jim Tressel. It would be the ultimate boss move. What do you think?
Oof, that's a really good question. I'm going to go with here. I think I'm going to have to say, man, this is tricky, actually.
So you'd go outside the locker room? You try to get someone new, a new face in there?
Honestly, I don't know that I do. I have my answer, actually. And this probably isn't the one that you're looking for. It's not that creative. I'm going to say JJB here, Javonte John Baptiste. The guy left Ohio State for a reason. This guy who had a sack in the college football playoff last year. I realized he wasn't a full-time starter for Ohio State, and some might see that as, there wasn't really a spot for him. But that's a guy who's been playing at a very high level. Nobody probably knows that locker room better than he does. And you got to feel that he probably has a lot of extra motivation going into this game. So why not him, honestly?
I'm going to go with someone similar. I would go Al Washington. The guy literally got fired by Ohio State. I don't know if they officially called it a firing, but he was let go. Mm-hmm. Whatever the situation was, he was let go by Ohio State. Now, granted, he was coaching linebackers, not really his natural thing. And then Notre Dame hired him. And I'm sure that there's some bad blood there, whether he, would say it publicly or not. If you got let go by a team and you got the chance to compete against them again, I got to imagine you're going to be up for that. And I was thinking if we were going to go outside of the team, just for the sake of this question, I honestly think it'd be hilarious if Vince Vaughn went from game day picker to giving a speech to the team. I don't think it would ever happen, but I was trying to think of someone outside who would come in. And I really couldn't think of anyone. I think the team is probably just going to want to keep it in-house. This is in a situation where they need some miracle or they really need some crazy pregame speech. Yeah. I think they're confident and they really think that they can and will win this game.
Right. That's kind of where I'm at, too. I don't think you need to really pull out any gimmicks for this one. There seems to be a lot of confidence that they can and should win the game.
Yeah, if we were going old school, though, maybe let Lou Holtz get in there. Give a little speech.
God knows what he would say, but yeah.
That's true. That's true. This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps find the right people for your team faster and for free. I used LinkedIn Jobs a couple years ago, and they made it easy to contact the hiring manager, learn more about the role, and eventually I got the job. LinkedIn also makes it incredibly easy to create a free job post on LinkedIn Jobs. All you have to do is add your job and the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. We all know hiring people can be time-consuming, but adding the right team member can be invaluable to your business, and LinkedIn Jobs makes it easier than ever. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Today's episode is also sponsored by DoorDash. Love the convenience of getting what you want right to your door? With DoorDash Grocery Delivery, you could stock up for the week or order last-minute cravings conveniently. You've trusted DoorDash to deliver your restaurant favorites, and now you can get grocery delivery that actually delivers too. With thousands of grocery stores to choose from, you'll find the best in your neighborhood and boost your local economy with each and every order. You'll get exactly what you ordered, or we'll make it right. So sit back and enjoy quality groceries just like you picked them yourself. Want even more value? You can save on all your grocery and restaurant favorites with a $0 delivery fee on all eligible orders with a Dash Pass membership. With easy substitutions right in the app and best-in-class customer support, DoorDash delivers groceries exactly how you want it. Get 50% off your first DoorDash order up to a $20 value when you use code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE at checkout. Limited time offer, terms apply. That's 50% off up to $20, no min subtotal, and 0 delivery fees on your first order when you download the DoorDash app in the App Store and enter promo code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE. Don't forget, that's code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for 50% off your first order with DoorDash. All right, next one from @Sean_O'Brien7. Best tailgate spot is a washed-up alum.
As a washed-up alum?
Yeah. Which alum isn't washed up? I'd like to meet that guy.
Yeah, I mean, I need to figure that one out.
Incredibly washed.
I mean, you can't go wrong really anywhere within the Joy slot, right? It's just like there's endless spots to go to. I mean, I've had a tailgate, or my family has, for 30 years. It's great. So there's just a lot of tradition like that. I feel like you can't really go wrong that way. I just don't get how people do tailgate outside of the Joy slot. Like, you just feel very removed from civilization. When I come in on Saturday mornings for games, sometimes I see people out in White Field. I'm like, who the hell is out here? Because it's so far away from the stadium. But I just, there's nothing like, 2 hours before kick on a night game, when that lot gets going a little bit. It's a lot of energy that Notre Dame typically doesn't have. So I think you just can't go wrong anywhere in the Joy slot.
Yeah, and I would say people in the Joy slot are extremely welcoming to pretty much everyone, even opposing fans, which honestly it kind of annoys me. We're arguably.
I hope that's not the case this weekend. Honestly, I hope people are just flat out rude to Ohio State people.
Well, I'm the boots on the ground, at least for now, and in getting in South Bend last night at our hotel. I've seen a couple Ohio State fans. It definitely does feel like a big game, though. Like, even last night, you could kind of get the sense that there's a lot of people here. And I was trying to think back to when I was a student on, like, especially big games. When did you really start to feel it? The first one that comes to mind is Georgia. I mean, I feel like middle of the day, Thursday, I'd be walking from class, and there were already Georgia fans everywhere. Is there another game that I'm missing where, like, you could feel it on Thursday?
While we were in school,
yeah,
Texas, there were a lot of Texas fans, but that's kind of the other one that comes to mind, really, I would say.
It would be nice if Saturday went like that Texas game.
I would enjoy that very much.
It'd be a lot of fun. I would say, I don't know, best tailgate spot. Yeah, definitely in the Joy side. You want to elaborate more on the orange van? Got a lot of new listeners. I don't know if they all know the story.
I mean, there's just a big orange van in the Joy slot that about 6 families have been running the tailgate out of for 30 plus years now. And just the tradition sort of continues, sort of thing. But yeah, I'm sure tomorrow will be a madhouse. I'm sure there'll be a bunch of people I've never seen before in my life there. So that'll be good.
Yeah. And maybe some people here will be like, oh, I just spotted the orange van. That's definitely where Luke is. And they'll come say hi. All right. This next one comes from I think this guy's name is, it's spelled Gunkoss. Is that Gunkoss?
Sure.
That's what we're going with here. With the win against Ohio State, where would Notre Dame be ranked, and any movement in the Heisman? I assume he's referring to Hartman, or I guess we got to include Wojciak in this as well.
Yeah. So obviously it depends what happens across the country, right? But Notre Dame would definitely pop into the top 5, I would think, if they win this game. See, like the September Heisman thing to me is so I'm not even thinking about that right now. Like it's actually kind of, and I'm not saying that this is what the questioner is throwing out there, but like some of the stuff I've seen where it's like, oh, Notre Dame has a Heisman candidate at quarterback. I'm like, it's September 22nd. Like, let's pump the brakes a little bit. You really shouldn't even start talking about that till late October, early November. I just think it's kind of silly to talk about it at this point. Like it's so far down the radar, but because so many people do talk about it, then yeah, I'm sure that if Sam Hartman plays really well, he'll jolt up to the top of that conversation. But that's something that I think is really far down the road. But yeah, they definitely jump into the top 5. And as I heard one of your colleagues, Joel Klatt, say, if they win this game, they will be above the line of teams that can compete for a national championship.
Yeah, I'm looking at the rankings right now. I think, assuming everything else stays the same, if Florida State beats Clemson, I would say Notre Dame might move up to 5th. Mm-hmm. I think they might be able to jump USC just because USC hasn't played anyone difficult up to this point. I don't see them jumping Texas or Michigan or any of those schools. But yeah, I think they probably move all the way up to 5th. And I mean, that would be the biggest win anyone's had this college football season. Texas's win over Alabama has certainly lost its luster a little bit in the past couple of weeks. So I think they jump up. And as for the Heisman thing, I think part of it just has to do with the fact that, like, outside of Manti Te'o's insane run at the end of 2012 and Brady Quinn back in 2006, Notre Dame really hasn't had a player that was even close to winning the Heisman. And Te'o, like, when did we start talking Heisman with him? It wasn't until very late in the year, right?
I mean, that Oklahoma game, Musburger is on the call when he has that pick saying that could be a Heisman moment for him. So that's late October, basically. Jimmy Clausen, though, I mean, I was in 7th grade. I bought a shirt that said Clausen for Heisman before that USC game. Of course, they were 6-2.
Yeah, I was going to say there haven't been that many 6-6 Heisman winners.
Yeah, well, at that point, they were still in the PCS conversation. That fell apart. But that's kind of my point. Like, we talk about these things so early, and it's like, let's pump the brakes a little bit.
What do you think about Wojciak Estime, like, having a chance at the Heisman? Do you think that's a real thing if he keeps going the way he's been playing?
Well, did you see what Josh Pate said?
No, what'd he say?
Oh my God, this was so stupid. And our buddy Pat Falkenberg sent us last night. There was a CBS Sports update saying running backs are key in Ohio State, Notre Dame. The first bullet point: Wojciak Estime carrying Irish. The second one: Buckeyes Travion Henderson looks like Heisman candidate. Travion Henderson has 191 yards rushing on the year. Okay.
Yeah, I saw Pate and his boys. I guess they were debating whether Wojciak Estime was the best running back in the country going up against Blake Corum.
Well,
I mean, if he goes for like 150 yards on Saturday, he certainly belongs in that discussion, I would say. But I don't know. Running backs and Heismans, doesn't, at least not lately.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to work. So I don't know. We'll see how he does on Saturday, but I don't think he's going to be competing for the Heisman at the end of the year. It's going to be Sam Hartman. Okay. Next one from @DrewBrennan77. Okay, he's got a bunch of over-unders for us, so we'll kind of do these like rapid fire, just first thing that comes to mind. Ready? Estimate 99 yards rushing.
Over,
same. Hartman 220 yards passing.
Over
as well. Tobias Merriweather 65 yards receiving.
Under.
I would say under as well. Jadarian Price 4 carries.
I'm gonna say over.
I think it's going to be under. Finally, we disagree on one. I just think Estime is going to get the bulk, and then they really like giving the ball to Jabron Payne in short yardage situations.
I'm kind of sick of, but that's another conversation.
I mean, he's pretty good at it. Like, he's shifty, but it's kind of like, just give it to Estime. What are we doing here? Let's not get cute. I don't really see Jadarian Price getting a ton of playing time in this one. I just really think they're going to shorten the rotation at like every position, including
I think him and Love will still see it like about as much time as they have been seeing, but we'll see.
All right. Next up, Ohio State turnovers 1.5.
Under.
Yeah, 1.5 seems like a lot. What do you think it's going to be? Pick or fumble?
I'm going to say we're finally going to recover a fumble.
I don't know. I think we just have no luck this year with fumbles. I think we're going to force Kyle McCord into a pick. Hopefully it's just like an absolute back-breaking interception at the end of the game.
I like that.
Notre Dame punt blocks, half.
Under. They don't seem to have the same sort of, and maybe they're waiting for this game, but and it did take a while to block a punt, I guess, last year.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Honestly, the punt return unit has been kind of sloppy. Like I don't really love Chris Tyree back there either, but I don't have a ton of confidence. I hope it happens, but I don't have a ton of confidence.
Yeah, I'm with you. Chris Tyree is like, he's safe back there. But
well, sort of. He lets the ball get deep.
Yeah, that's true. It didn't matter because Notre Dame ended up scoring like 2 plays after. But do you remember the punt return at the very beginning of the Central Michigan game? I don't know what he was doing, dude. He caught it and immediately started running backwards.
Yeah.
Like the whole thing about punt returns, just go straight. You got to just make the first guy miss. Anyway, as for the question, Notre Dame came pretty close. They've been close a couple times this year. I think they might be due. I don't know if I'm ready to say over, but I don't know. They were pretty close against NC State, and I think another against Tennessee State. But then again, you or I could probably block a punt against Tennessee State. All right, McCord, touchdown passes over 50 yards. He has a half.
Under. They're not letting up a big play like that.
Okay. I hope you're right. This one's kind of I didn't even get one. I would say under, but I think that there's going to be a point in the game. I'll save it for when I go over like predictions, how I think the game is going to go. Hartman, touchdown passes over 50 yards, 1.5.
I'm going to say under.
Okay. Do you think he's going to get one?
I think they're going to need one, actually, but I don't think there's going to be 2.
I actually think we're more likely to break a long run in this game.
Yeah.
I think they're going to start selling out.
I agree with that, too.
All right. Last over under. Notre Dame defensive sacks, 2.5.
I am going to say over. I think they get 3 in this game.
Do you think that Al Golden is going to be blitzing a ton?
I don't. So, I think that it's going to be a little bit different than NC State, where they kind of had to have like almost a spy looking at Brennan Armstrong. You don't have that same threat of the legs. McCord can move a little bit, but not like, Brennan Armstrong, who's basically looking to run first.
Yeah.
I would say this is like kind of the first true traditional drop back passer they've seen this year. And I think that's going to allow them to be a little bit more aggressive, but not overly aggressive at the same time. And I think that finally we're going to see some guys or a guy go on the ground.
I really haven't seen it a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm inclined to say under just because Notre Dame has not been able to bring the quarterback down a ton so far this season. But they really got to get after him. Like, if McCord has time to throw,
it's a problem.
Yeah, those corners, whoever is guarding those receivers, like you can only cover them for so long.
Right.
And they're going to get free. And that's when you could have a situation where if Notre Dame does blitz a lot of guys and they don't get after him, and then the defense is screwed. And then you've got, Jade Mickey one-on-one after a double safety blitz. Let's table that one, Al. That would be my suggestion. All right, so I'm taking the under on that. Snap into the NFL action this season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there is no better time to get in on the action than right now. The app is so easy to use, and there's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, an official partner of the NFL. This question is a little bit more directed to me. Have you forgiven all the Ohio State fans that tormented you when you were younger? So a little background on this. When I was living in Ohio for that Fiesta Bowl game, I've told you this, Luke. We had a big party, a ton of people, very few Notre Dame fans. And I was, when was that game? Very beginning of 2006. Okay, so I was 9. And oh my God, they let me have it. They put signs in our yard. Like some of the people who came over to the party, put like Tyler is a closet Notre Dame fan, like signs in our front yard. So needless to say, I did not handle that super well. Might have been traumatized. And it did. I do have a deep hatred for Ohio State because of that. So I would say, no, I have not forgiven all those fans that tormented me when I was younger. Do you have a fan base? Is there anyone in your life that's tormented you like that about Notre Dame?
Not like directly like that. I would say like the first time I went to Michigan, the first thing anybody said to me was something I can't say on air. And I was like 15, but Miami was kind of similar to that. but not that targeted like that, thankfully.
What was the worst thing you heard at Miami? Or like, did someone try to fight you, or was that someone else?
I mean, everybody in that upper deck, like basically that guy that got killed at the Patriots game by those Dolphins fans. I think those guys were at that Miami game and they were sitting by us. Yeah, they like just a really, really bad people. I'll leave it at that.
All right. We do have one more question, but before we get to that, I think it's time. I want to hear your official score prediction.
All right. So, well, I said Estime is going to get over 99 yards rushing and Hartman over 222 passing. I don't think there's going to be as much scoring in this one as people think. I don't think anybody scores 30 points in this game. I think that the Irish ultimately come out on top 27-24. And I do think that it comes down to a defensive stop at the end. And I think the Irish are able to do that, but I think it's 27-24 Irish. Just have a lot of confidence in that group.
Yeah. What makes you more confident in the defense in this one than the offense? Because up to this point, the offense has certainly been the storyline, but the defense has been quietly very good for the most part.
I think that's what it is that they have a lot of older guys out there. They have a lot of comfortability in Al Golden's system now. And I think they're going to come ready to play. And frankly, and this better not come back to bite me, but I just don't have that same level of confidence in Kyle McCord.
Okay, so my official score prediction, I'm going to 31-24. I think I said 31-28 on the last podcast I did, but I've changed my mind. And part of that is because when I was on my way in, I was watching highlights from the 1993 Notre Dame Florida State game. I was not alive for that game. So, but just thinking about the magnitude of that game and some of the similarities here, it's not like the game of the century. This is not 1 versus 2, but that was such a huge win for Notre Dame at the time. And it kind of feels like that sort of vibe in this one. So I think the game is going to go pretty similarly to it did in 93, where Notre Dame jumped out to a big lead. They came out, they punched them in the mouth, and it looked like they were controlling the game. And then in the second half, Florida State clawed their way back, and Notre Dame needed a stop at the end to win it. I think it's going to be very similar in this game. I think Notre Dame is going to come out ready. The stadium is going to be juiced up, and I think Notre Dame is going to get to not like a large lead, but I think that they're going to be in control for the first half. And then Ohio State, they're just too talented. I think they do break a big play. So maybe it's a 50-yard bomb to Marvin Harrison Jr. or something, but I think that the defense is going to crack for a moment. Ohio State's going to fight their way back. They're just too talented to keep down for too long. But in the end, Notre Dame hangs on, and we all let out a collective sigh of relief as we walk out of that stadium.
That's not the only thing you're going to be letting out, but yeah.
All right, actually, one more question from me before the last mailbag question. If we win, are you storming the field?
I don't think I will, to be honest with you. It's just like not really my thing. I've been in the stadium for 2 field stormings now. Well, no, that's not true. 4 or 5 field stormings, but 2 most recently, both the Clemson games. Didn't do it for either of them. I think the first time was because I shouldn't have been in the stadium. I snuck into that one, and I was like, you know what? I'm not putting myself in potential of just getting arrested or something, although that was stupid, obviously, to even think that. And then last year, that game was so anticlimactic. I kind of just wanted to take in the scene, and that was cool, too. I kind of like just standing up top and seeing that. Now, who knows? Maybe the moment will overtake me, but I don't have plans of doing that.
Yeah, I don't plan on storming either. I didn't love that we stormed. I don't want to be like storming the field police, but I was just like, because last year when we dominated Clemson, and
it was definitely a cool scene, but I just, I didn't feel the need to do it.
2020 Clemson, that definitely
sure.
necessitated a field storming. This one, I think if Notre Dame wins, students are going to rush the field, and this would be such a big win. I have no problem with that as well at all. But personally, I will not be on the field. I would want to take in the scene and just kind of embrace it all, because it would truly be a special moment. But that does lead us to our last question. This one from @Connor_Shields. What's the post-game plan after we win?
I mean, we've long said it's Miller Lights on game day. So, I mean, like, I guess that just means South Bend burns down to the ground. I don't really know.
I think that'd be good for everyone.
Yeah, honestly, just wipe the place from the planet.
That would be perfect. It'd be going out in a blaze of glory. So, unfortunately, I've got to get back to Chicago after the game, but I've already made it clear to my entire family that if Notre Dame wins, we are not going to be rushing to get back to Chicago. We're going to go back to the tailgate lots, and everyone is going to be so happy.
When are you flying back?
Like first thing tomorrow morning, or excuse me, Sunday morning. Yeah, I've got to work on Sunday. So I'm either going to be an absolute corpse, like an actual corpse, like Weekend at Bernie's, just dead inside and outside.
Okay, well, I mean, I might be a corpse anyways, but you know.
But if Notre Dame wins, I will be on such an adrenaline high. And I already warned all my coworkers. So they're like, oh, like good luck this weekend. Like, hope it works out for you. And I told them, I was like, you say that now, but if Notre Dame does win, like I am going to be. Is
America prepared for a 5-0 top 5 Notre Dame team that just beat Ohio State?
No.
Many are asking, and I think the answer is no.
I will be so insufferable, personally, and I know I certainly wouldn't be alone in that. So it's like, you guys might rethink that because you will not be able to tell me shit when I come back. And then we'll probably lose to Duke. All right.
And on that note.
Luke, thanks for coming on, and I'll see you in a couple hours.
See you in a couple hours.
All right, that is going to do it for me today. The next time I talk to you guys, we'll have a winner from Notre Dame, Ohio State, and I simply cannot wait. Enjoy the game on Saturday. I know I will, and I can't wait to talk to you guys when it's all over. And be sure to subscribe to the show on YouTube or wherever you're getting the podcast, and follow the show on Twitter at LOCKEDON Irish, on Instagram at LOCKEDON Irish Pod, and my personal Twitter account at Tyler, WOJCIAK. Go Irish.